Fisayo has been, taking it very, very slow and methodical. Like we said, it's a long business school we're running this period, and you need to pay attention. And I hope that you have been implementing all that you have been learning. And so we're going to continue from where we stopped the last time today. Later today, we have a parenting a teen seminar for those in the UK and those in Europe and North America generally. It holds at, is it 9 p.m. UK time? I think it's 9 p.m. UK time. So if you are on the CST, if you are in Central Time, so time has shifted a little bit. So instead of 3 p.m., I think it's going to be 4 p.m. or something, so that we can align with the people in Europe, kind of. Please take notes, Mary Jane, take notes so that you can send them. Because we didn't envisage that time was going to change today. So we're good. I'm going to bring up my brother, who has been very terrific, when it comes to these things. Please, these things is teaching you can produce incredible results. And one of the things I'm learning, we've been on a week about the burial of Abatwigwe, and I'm hearing what everyone is saying about him. It means we can do more, right? And then I'm looking at the caliber of people talking about him. It means you can't afford to be broke. You can't afford to be where, you are just going to be running commentaries about, oh, they. No, you must be in the day, right? It's Fisayo who always say that. Somebody would say all fingers are not equal. Say, why is it your own that is short, right? We are saviors, and to really, really save people, we need to build incredible wealth, so that someday we can all say we are dropping $1 billion to go and install our own president in Nigeria, or want to install our own governor and allow the righteous people to get into power. If we can't do that, we'll just be ranting and be saying this bad guy is wrong, that guy is wrong, and that guy is wrong, and we'll do nothing, right? Now, if you're tired of running commentaries, you want to now step in and be a player, you need to understand all these things that Fisayo is teaching. So let's welcome once again our very own strategist, Mr. Fisayo Okusanya. FO, good morning and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon for having me. I'm very excited to be here today. I am just going to, let me see, my internet. All right, so I'm just going to take this, try and bring one or two concepts, because I realize that sometimes maybe there's some information overload. So just want to drive one or two concepts home today, and I think I'll give us more time to talk, right? So that we can use what is being taught, right? So I'll just focus on two things today, since we are running a marathon, that you can actually now go, and then next week we can sort of ask how you applied these two things, because now we're talking about prospering as your soul prospers. And the first thing I would say is that there's no need, I always laugh when people try to show who they are, or people ask the question, do you know who I am? We can already see who you are. There's no need to ask that question. The minute you walked in the room, the minute you opened your mouth, your soul poured out, and those that are discerning can already see who you are and know that, so you will prosper as your soul prospers. Your soul is a telltale, and it's a tell-all of everything that you have kept inside you. And so I didn't want to, say a lot of things today. I wanted to focus on two things, and I wanted us to talk about those two things. So I wrote down some things, and I want you and I spent a lot of this week also watching Herbert Wigwe's funeral and the Wigwe family's entire tribute. And there's a lot to learn from there, a lot to learn. I looked at the video of Aliko Dangote shedding tears. And I looked at the video of of SLS, Lamido Sanusi, shedding tears. And I heard the things that Lamido said. I was touched to shed tears myself. But let me say this, and say this clearly, and I want us to unpack this. Even if you don't agree, I want you to just think about it. That the areas in which we fail the most is the areas of simply just being human. Forget religion, and let's talk about being a human being. Right? You know, I told you that in this journey we'll talk about spiritual things and we'll talk about physical things. So let's talk about natural things and say that the people that have these things that we want, or the people that are in this level that we want to, the difference between us and them is that they are more human than we are. And I want us to think about this. Again, like I said, today, I've decided not to speed. I've decided to, because I realize that one thought can change your life. If you take that thought and you take it captive, right? And you keep it within your captivity and you keep it in your heart and you drive it. So they are more human than we are. Remember, I said from the beginning that you will prosper as your soul prospers, right? And your soul is the seat of what? Your intellect and your emotions. So one level is to be competent and to be a smart guy. The other level is to know how to touch people's lives. And last week I also said that the rule of life is not about work, but about numbers. That the number of people whose lives you impact, it affects the amount of money you are allowed to make and keep. So I want you to keep those things at the back of your mind and see that these things are coming back to people. There are people in this room that I'm speaking to now. When it comes, you want to have so much, but you cannot picture yourself paying someone 2.5 million naira a month. You can't picture yourself doing that because your soul cannot handle it. In fact, if I said it to you, something in you will say, what are they doing for me that I can't do for myself? But you want to be like Herbert, right? Who was probably paying some of his EDs 50, 60 million naira a year. You have to understand that the growth of your soul, and Adam Smith said this years ago when he wrote the book, The Wealth of Nations. He said that the only way you can improve your own circumstance is to improve the circumstance of those around you, right? That the fastest way to improve your own circumstances in life is to improve the circumstances of those around you, right? So when you think about that, what can your soul accommodate for other people in terms of prosperity? And I want you to think about this. Just being a human being and not being a witch, what level of prosperity can your soul accommodate for your brother without you entering a state of green envy, or without you saying, God, when? Or without you saying, where's my own? What level of prosperity can your soul accommodate? Because then those things will be hidden from you. The kinds of money that those guys had, they had to hide it, because the world just would not understand. And so when you judge them and say, they are spending money on this, that thing that they spend money on that is so big to you is nothing to them. So the question is, what can your soul take? Because if it is exercise that you need to do in your soul, let us start that exercise, right? By stretching your soul consistently, right? Some of you pay your staff so poorly, not because the business cannot afford it, but because in your mind, you can't even, how can this person be collecting this from me every month? And because that thing cannot come out of you every month, it cannot even stay in you. Right? So I realized when people said we need to do more, it's really a stretching of your soul. It's really a stretching of your soul. If someone goes and hits your car now, what are you going to do? What's your reaction to? Some of you will lose your mind. Your whole afternoon is gone because they hit a car. Because your soul is not bigger than the car. And you're not making money on a per second basis where you have to forget the car and move on. Someone was laughing about Bill Gates. This was decades ago. And says if Bill Gates drops $1,000 on the floor, that it is more economical for him to walk keep walking than for him to wait and pick it up, because it makes more than that in a second. And you have to understand, this is a soul issue. How is your soul exercised? Right? So I want to start by talking about alignment, right? Now, alignment means that you are part of a story. You're not creating your own story. And I realized that one of the biggest barriers to wealth is not realizing that you are part of a story, that you are not creating your own story. And that nature is designed to fight against you when you want to go against the story that you are meant to be continuing. Right? And I hear a lot of people go against that story, right, by saying, oh, I want to make my own money, your own money. There's no self-made man in the world. None. Everybody has received help. Everybody is part of a lineage. Remember, and this, I'm now breaking some of the things I've said earlier so you can understand. This is what I mean by saying that wealth is inherited. You do not create it, you inherit it. It is passed down. Now, if you refuse to inherit it because you say, oh, I want to make my own money, then you will find yourself in the wilderness where it is dry and dark. So instead of trying to create your own story, find out what part of the story that you are. Because I know people who have failed consistently in life until they, and that's why failure should never be sold as a template. Resilience from failure is good, but it should never be sold as a template. You don't always have to fail to succeed. When you fail, you need the resilience to move on. But I hate those that sell, or I hate it when people sell failure as a template, that you must fail. You don't have to fail. You can learn through hindsight, through insight, instead of, what is happening to you, right? So essentially, those who find and connect to that story always do well. And I'll give you case studies. I want us to talk about it. I'm not going to talk for too long. I want us to discuss. I want comments. I want us to thrash this out, right? Look at Jimmy Odukoya, Pastor Jimmy Odukoya. Pastor Jimmy Odukoya was not interested in pastoring his father's church. Not interested. PF can tell you, not interested. His heart is in Hollywood. He's in acting, right? Not interested. And he succeeded. He got some measure of success in Hollywood. And then his father passed. And the thing was handed over to him. And at that point, he had to make a decision. Should I leave this thing and say no? Or should I say my passion is in Hollywood, right? Have you all noticed that since he embraced that thing, his profile has become something else? Because there are invisible forces that work for you when you click into your alignment. So I was watching during the week as they called him to share at Jesus service. I was watching during the Nations Cup as they made him the pastor of the Super Eagles. Look, it's not, you think, oh, because he was praying for them every day. People have prayed and remained obscured, in obscure positions. I'm talking about how the elements work with you when you embrace what you have been, the story. And this is why we call it history or his story. It is God's story, not yours. You have to learn, find that place and align with it, right? I speak to so many people who I'm trying to help to get into business, and I hear them say things like, but my passion is here. The heart, listen to this, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Your heart can deceive you with your passion. Your passion is just a function of the things you saw growing up that you sort of endeared yourself towards and said, oh, when at some point in my life, I must have this. I grew up with bankers, both parents, step-parents, bankers, mentors were bankers, and they were high-profile bankers. So even when we were living in Nigeria, they had Barclays accounts in the UK, So when I finally moved to the UK, I was heading to Barclays. I said, we will have this Barclays account. It was a script that was run inside me. Until someone called me and said, look, Benny, there's something, as a black man, that's just a new resident. There's the kind of money that will enter your account that Barclays will flag it and close it. You better respect yourself, right? So when I did my research, there was no sense in opening Barclays you know. But my passion, my ego, and you have to kill your ego. That your passion and your ego, they are both also in your soul. So I find people trying to be what they are not. You are just not made to do this. So let's look at this. God created the heavens and the earth, and he created the water. Like I said last week, the water was complete when he created it. Then the next day, the water was raw material for creating other things. And imagine when he spoke to the water the next day and said, bring forth fish. And the water says to him, what I really like is not fish. Before you before you ask me to bring forth fish, what I really like to bring forth is pigs and lions. So can you help me towards the area of my passion? Sometimes God is trying to push and use you in a certain direction, and you find people literally saying, don't use me here. What I really want to do is here. Meanwhile, the sector that is your passion is not ready, it's not even commercially ready yet. Right? It's not even commercially ready yet. So you have to be flexible. I was raised on the principle, whatever your hand finds to do, you do. You might be doing it on the journey towards what you want to do, right? But whatever your hand finds to do, you do. Right? And so this is the first thing I want to say about finding what to do or finding what business you want to go into at any stage in your career, right? There is a role for passion, but this is my advice with passion because I know someone will ask, what's the role of passion? Your passion must be at a helicopter level. Listen to what I'm saying. It's like the vision, right? And I always do visioning for companies, and I find out that a lot of people also have the wrong vision. Your passion must be at a helicopter level, which means rather than say my passion is to build cars no, you have already been too specific with your passion. Your passion must rise above and be saying things like to help people, to reduce the cost for people, to save lives. You see, if you keep your passion at that level, then it allows you to be flexible on your tactics or your strategy. But if you get stuck at a certain level and say, my passion is only in, most of people in fintech today did not know they were ever going to fintech. That's the truth. 10 years ago, there was no fintech. 15 years ago, there was no fintech. That industry that they say has raised billions of dollars in Africa, there was no fintech. So don't deceive yourself. To yourself, be true. Say the truth to yourself. This is what I want to do, but wherever it takes me, I will follow. Some of you have left money on the table because you are inflexible. You have left billions on the table because you are inflexible. I'll give you another example. Peter made a mistake with his passion. Instead of him to be passionate, listen to me carefully, please. Listen to me. Instead of him to be passionate about working for God, to doing God's work, he was passionate about the Jews. That was Peter's passion. So it was the man that's sending him, the God that's sending him, was not telling him that, Ogbeni, I am sending you to those that are not Jews. You are telling me that they are unclean. Because it's possible for you to want to do something on the earth and for you to be wearing blinders. It's possible for you to be wearing blinders and therefore you are not useful to the natural process of doing things. And guess what? Peter was replaced by a more egalitarian, eclectic, and a thinking man like Paul. You have to understand this, that if you get stuck at a sub-level rather than at a holistic level, at a helicopter level on your passion, if you allow yourself to get stuck, you will get stuck and things will pass you by, right? And I've shown you examples of people who have gotten stuck and they had to be replaced, right? So don't allow yourself to be replaced. So I'm going to stop here. That's the first half, right? PF, I want this to be practical. I want someone to volunteer for me. And I want not even someone to volunteer, I want everybody to state their reason for existence. Write it down. Then maybe one or two people will share it, right? I want to help you phrase that vision so that this is now a working class. It's not just a class where you're listening to me. I exist to XYZ. Can you take a sheet of paper and a pen and write it? This is what I'm here for. Hello, are we together? PF, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. So this is why I'm here. I am here for XYZ. Can you write it down on a sheet of paper? And then if one or two people are confident enough to share it, I want to use one or two case studies and then I'll move to the second aspect of what I want to talk about. But this first aspect, just in recap, is that you are a part of a story. Your wealth is inherited. And by inheritance, that's why Amos says, out of the families of the earth, you have I known. That's why First Samuel says it causes the beggar to inherit a throne of glory. Wealth is inherited, not created. So you are trying to recreate the entire wheel. And he's saying there's something that you're supposed to plug into. If you don't plug into that thing, you will fail consistently. Or you might even make money and be suboptimal, not knowing that you could have been greater. So I want everyone to write, I exist to, this is my passion. And I want you to look at that passion again and make sure it is not sector specific, it's not regional specific. It doesn't have any limitations that ties you down to something that might not exist in the next year or two. It doesn't have any limitations that ties you down so that you are not able to do something that is promising in the future because your focus is blindness. Right? PF, should we give them 1 minute?
Yes. Yes.
Is there anybody who has written their own, who is confident and just wants to share? I told you we're going into workbook model now, practicals. Who wants to share?
Some of them are putting it on the chat box.
It's fantastic. I exist to inspire hope and heal humanity. I love that. It means that you can be in healthcare, you can be in, it's just, you can be in politics, you can be in anything. So if you can be in religion, you can be in any sector. It must fly to a helicopter level. Please, if you have not done this exercise, just write it down, put it for your own sake, do it. Don't let us just fly by, because this is a great opportunity. We charge a lot for visioning exercises, right? This is a great opportunity. Someone said exists to raise 10 billion wholesome, fruitful, flourishing, thriving human beings all over the world who will live life to a meaningful, but there are 7 billion in the world, but you are probably projecting. I like that. Yeah, we are creating people here. It's a 10 billion. Okay, so I love that. And I love the fact that you said human beings. It means that people are now thinking, human beings, it can be anything. It can be anything, right? I exist to deliver personal and organizational bliss. So you can talk to any company. I exist to illuminate, illuminating, to bring knowledge to those who do not have access to it. Remember, you don't have to define it further at this point. You still have a mission statement, you still have so much. I exist to lighten the day and the burden of everyone I come in contact with. Fantastic. I exist to help exhort and encourage people to the best and to fulfill purpose. That fulfill purpose, let's just say exhort and encourage, right? I exist to heal relationships, help people. Fantastic. So you see, guide the next generation to ensure they fulfill, help people discover full essence. Right. So I know some of you have gone beyond this level, but let's start at this level. Because sometimes we forget the basics, and those basics actually do a lot to us. They hurt us. They say what you don't know will not hurt you. What you don't know will hurt you in this, right? So we find out that people are not flexible enough to take opportunity. So it's not my area. It reminds me of the guy who used to supply me water when I was living on the island. You know, island people don't have water. Sorry if you live on the island. The estate where I was living then in Lekki County, we used to take water in trucks. So they will bring the water tanker of water to our houses. So once every week, you ask for the water tanker. So I just moved here to this house, and I asked for the water tanker to bring me water. And the guy brought us water, and he filled the tank. And I asked him, I said, you know what? I want 2 tanks. Is it possible for you to bring a tank for me since you already have a truck and you can just put it on top, tie it, and yeah, sell it to me, You see, poverty is the problem and it's in the mind. The guy said to me, that's not his business. So his own is just to bring water. I couldn't resist. I called him. I said, I don't understand. I said, you should sell me GP tank. GP tank is not value chain of water. Please help me. GP tank and water, are they not in the same value chain? The guy said, no, meanwhile, he could have made, how much did we used to spend on water? He could have made 2 weeks worth of trips, right? Just by buying the GP tank. He didn't even need to place his money there if he had good relationships. And I'm coming to relationships, collecting the GP tank, collecting money from me and going to put, I said, sell it to me. Because of the logistics, I was willing to pay like double the price because I wasn't going to go and start pricing GP tank, getting a lorry and bringing it. The guy said it's not his business. Now you can laugh at him.
God's will is telling you GP tank is what he sells. So, Igbo.
I love it. Now you can laugh at that guy and say he has a closed mindset, but many of us, what we do is like him. Just because we say this is not my passion. What we do is like him, and that wealth will block you. I mean, every single area that I've entered into, especially this year, right? I've had to grow in the understanding of it, which means I just had a little knowledge and then I entered and I grew. So when you go back to pray or you go back to ask God for money, and it says, but I've supplied you opportunities, right? I've opened the windows of heaven and caused a rain to fall. And you say you didn't see the rain in your account. He said, go and read that place well. It's ideas I was talking about. I've opened it and I've caused the rain to fall, but you missed it because your mind was not strategic enough to capture the value chain. If it was easy and it was going to fall into your account, everybody will have it. In order to enter into this wealth thing, you are going to have to cross-sell, cross-function, and cross-value. And we have to understand this. You have to understand this. Because what I meet today is just people who are straight and narrow. And there's some entitlement there, expecting this thing to fall into your lap, right? I want you to open your minds today. Open your mind. There's so much more that you can do. Quickly. So thank you for everyone who sent in why they exist. That's one half of what I wanted to share. I said I'll focus on 2 things because I want you to live with specific thoughts, right? The second thing, and this came to me, I mean, I've always said it, but it came to me stronger watching Herbert's tributes over the week. And I thought to myself, so I'm going to base what I'm saying on factors of production. The 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. I'm dropping it in the chat because I'm teaching class now. Right? And I want you to pay attention to these factors of production. Land, labor. I want to take your pen and write because I'm going to define them and show you how they apply to wealth. Now, they call them factors of production because these are the elements of wealth. They are the factors of production. Economics really refers to them as elements with which wealth is created, right? Now, land, definition of land. Land is everything in its raw form, talent, and everything in its raw form, crude oil, everything on the ground and under the ground that's in its raw form, unprocessed, including talent, right? Now, if you start a business today, now, before I say that, let me say this. The reward for land is rent. Listen, no, it's very deep. The reward for land is what? Rent. So if you start a business today, and all you're bringing to the table for your clients is land, unprocessed, then they will pay you rent. Rent is the lowest form of earning in the factor line. Rent is when I'll say, Kafaya, you bake cakes now. Okay, you the bake cake. Okay, Sarewagba, I put my hand in my pocket and give Kafaya 5,000 cash and say, quickly bake cake for me. The only reason I can do that to her is because she has not processed her land. Her land does not have C of O. It does not have anything. Are you listening to me? And so if you are operating at the level of land and you are expecting to be paid something other than rent, you are deceiving yourself. That's on one level. On the other level, when people, employees, come into your business and bring only land, do not pay them more than rent. That means they brought just talent. When, oh good, he won't take any courses, he won't develop it the same way he has been since the day he came, that is the day. He drives well, right? Sarewagba is land. Sarewagba money is what? Rent. Listen to me. Now, the second factor is wages, labor. The reward, labor is defined as effort. Listen, no, effort, not success or results, effort. The reward for labor is wages, what they pay bricklayers on the site, right? If you are bringing only wages to your customers' businesses, if you are bringing only effort to your customers' businesses, they can only pay you wages. Another way to look at it is that if every time you charge, people price your market and you realize that it's all of them, they don't do meeting, but they are pricing it to the same level. Maybe that's what you are worth. Your customers have not done meeting, but every time they don't want to give you more than 25K or 50K. Then maybe you are bringing wages. Maybe you are bringing labor. That's why they are paying you wages. Again, when people come into your businesses and they bring only effort without skill or anything, then pay them wages. Don't pay someone who is bringing labor, rent. Don't pay someone who is bringing land, wages. This is where the mismatch is. Now, the third, and by far one of the most important factors is capital. Now, you know how I define capital. Capital is not money. Capital is the sum total of value that you have created from the day you were born to today, including your relationships, right? If you understand the principle of capital, you can use relationships to sit on the board of companies. If you understand the principle of capital. Now, capital is not money. Money is one expression of capital. Capital is actually your life. That's the simplest definition of capital, your life, right? So The word capital is the word capitalis, and it means brain or sense, which means the sum total of knowledge that you have gathered from the day you were born till now, the sense, street sense, everything you have gathered that you can bring to the table. Now, whenever, listen to this, and this is where a lot of us miss it. Whenever you are bringing capital to a client's business, the reward for capital is profit, not wages. Should I say it again? The reward for capital is profit and not wages. When you are bringing capital, which is your life, into a client's business, don't be afraid to ask for a cut. When you're bringing capital into a client's business, some of you just need to cure the fear. They told David, come and kill Goliath, right? The minute they told him, come and kill Goliath, he knew that his life was at stake. He did not, the next thing he said was, what will be given to the man who does this? It's not a, because you can be wise and be poor if you don't know how to link your wisdom to the market. So there's this thing. It says wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. He said, in all your gettings, get understanding. He said, for the merchandise of it, that word is the commercial value of it. There's a commercial value to understanding. And you need to understand how to define the commercial value of your understanding. So I always say this every time. They called the one man, generator is not working. Come and service it. The guy reached there, come and get it to work. The guy reached there, took a wrench, hit it, bah, bah, bah. Started the generator, started. They say, how much? He say 100K. They say, ole, thief. You just hit it now. He said, money for hitting, 1,000. Money for knowing where to hit, 99,000. And that's why I tell my clients, when they say my bills are lots, I say it's work, brain money. It is what I say it is, without fear, with enough confidence in my soul to walk away. So by the time they say, it's too much, I say, you know what, let me introduce you to somebody who I trained, who can do it for you cheaper. They say, no, we want the best. This is the price of the best. Let me tell you, if you don't understand this, you will be busy and broke.
Yep.
You'll be very busy, yet so broke. Work will be plenty. I've been there. Is experience I'm sharing with you. Table full, but struggling to pay your bills because you're afraid to bill and you don't understand the merchandise of wisdom and understanding. Right? So, the price, now, this is where I'm going. This is where I want to stay today. That when someone comes into your business and brings capital, cut them in. Don't try and pay them wages. If someone comes into your business and brings their life, do not try to pay them wages or rent. Cut them in straight. This is the story of Herbert and Ike. This is the story of Tayo and Fola. This is the story of Aliko and Mr. Makoju. This is the story of almost every successful business in Nigeria. Because wealth is distributed through family members. If you watch that ceremony, you would have noticed that you would have thought it was Ike Boje that was Herbert's brother, rather than his own brothers. He had more to say. He had more control over the ceremony. The person that led prayers was his own pastor. You can tell that he had more say because that is his brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is his brother. Jesus put it this way. He said, there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Think about it. Now, some of you, God has sent that person. You have stoned him and you have fought because you were not mature enough to handle your relationships. So you fought with him. You said something like, is he the one that's feeding me? You should get out. Let me tell you a secret. Anytime you are about on the cusp of making it big with a certain relationship, it is standard protocol for offense to settle. Standard. You will find out that fight Yes, someone said something very key. He said, because he or she is not born again, because he or she is not a Christian, you stoned him. I'm sorry for you. You will so Gary. Standard protocol. I have a friend so close, a brother that we do business, a Muslim. Because he's a child of God. Listen to me, standard protocol is the offense will set in. If you are, listen, I'm telling you now, watch out for the offense and nip it in the bud. Do not let it catch you by a surprise. Watch out for the offense. You expect it. And as it comes, you just laugh and say, okay, standard. So Jesus said, blessed is he that is not offended in me, because at the bend of prosperity, offense will come. Between two of you, you just see yourself fighting over things that you should not be fighting over. Say, boy, we can't fight. Just leave it. If those guys tell you time that they would have fought, corporations would not have been built. When Fola Adiola was, he noticed Tayo Aderoku and he said, Tayo, let's go. They had that conversation, let's go the whole way. And that's how GTB Bank became GTB. They went to all their friends, raising 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. That's how they got the first money to set up GT Bank. Today, GT Bank will do 200 billion in profit. Profit, 200 billion. Ike and Herbert saw each other and they said, look, nothing will separate us, not even money. And they went on, and they went on, and they went on. Today, Access Bank will do more than 200 billion in profit. God has sent some of you siblings and you have stoned them. Because there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. It's the story of everybody. Some of you are so stuck on your biological family, and there's nothing wrong with that, with your biological family. But some of you are so stuck on your biological family that you have missed other brothers and other siblings outside. And when you want to do things, you always think, oh, biological. And I even had a mentor that his biological family was stealing from him and they wrecked him. And he missed other critical siblings outside. So you have to be careful. You have to be flexible, because wealth is passed through family members. The way you manage relationships will determine how far you go in life. Right? So I want you to think, again, this is the end of my second thought. But before I go, I want you to think. Have I had people who have brought capital into my life? People who carried my matter on their head? What made me, are there traumas in my past that makes me not trust people? So that I distrusted them before they even got a chance to show themselves. Look, you are saying you don't trust people over the 10, 20 million or 30 or 60 million that you have. Boys are sharing billions. Yes, I'm reporting from Lagos, Nigeria, and you can see that our power is out. Boys are sharing billions. Boys are sharing billions and trusting each other. Lamido Sanusi said something. Two things that burnt my heart. He said 6 months before he was removed, he knew it would happen, so he called Herbert and said, Herbert, this was going to happen. Herbert said, don't worry, we'll support you. He said 9 a.m. on the day they announced his removal as emir. Listen, 9 a.m. on the day they announced his removal. By 12 noon, Herbert had a jet waiting for him on the tarmac. Jesus Christ. Look, boys he said he took his family, put his family on the jet, and for 4 months, Herbert housed his family in a hotel, and from there, moved them to a house. He said, you know, the part that touched me the most, he said they didn't even have a conversation about it. Your friend is owing you 50,000, you have not allowed him rest. You have not allowed him rest for. He said they did not have a conversation about it. Now, you want those kind of friends, you must show yourself friendly. That's the rule. You must show yourself friendly. Question is, are you that kind of friend? Lamido, the second thing Lamido said was, he said he put all his savings into a trust for his children. Say he has many children. And his children must be able to go to school when he dies. And he gave Herbert the trust. Say, Herbert, you're in charge of this trust. Make sure all my children go to school. He said, Herbert, the reason I am giving you this trust is because I know that even if I don't make 1 naira or I have no money when on the day I die, you will still educate my children. Kai, I was weak. I said, boys understand this thing. That's why. So I now reverse engineered this thing. I now thought to myself that when you see boys working in billions that you don't have, my brother, just believe that you don't know what they know. Don't judge. You see, we go around judging them and say, these guys, don't mind them. No, just believe that they know what you don't know. There's something you don't know that they know. Because Herbert's death has allowed us some insight into what he knows and how he used his life for people. For people, Access Bank probably has 7,000 to 10,000 staff working for him. Did you hear the testimony of his driver? 20 years driving him, the guy has BSc and master's degree. Because people will stay with you as long as there's headroom for growth. Some of you, when people are working with you, you kill their own destiny. There's no headroom for growth with you, so they have to leave. So the secret of those who have stayed long with people is because of headroom for growth. So I want you to think, if I was ministering in the church, by this time we'll start praying. But I want you to think, do I need healing in any way, in the way I manage relationships? Is there anything that's causing a blockage from any particular group? Like say, okay, maybe Christian, Muslim, Yoruba, Hausa. Is there anything? Because that thing is a hindrance. Your mind will create boundaries around your life. Trust me. Is there any amount I can't pay out to someone as a salary? Test your heart. Can my PA be earning 2 million naira? Based on the value that we are creating. If someone is with me and is earning 2 million naira, can I take it? Will I start feeling somehow like, you're a big boy? Will I start feeling like I'm doing something? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if you can't do it, then how can you ever build a corporation and have succession plan with the CEO there when you're not there? Well, will the CEO be earning 250K? I want you to think about it. And then I can hand over to PF and maybe we can take questions.
Wow.
In the meantime, let me change power source. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fisayo. This is really, 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 really deep. He has shared two incredible things. I mean, it's a wake-up call. I mean, this whole week is a wake-up call for those of us on who our friends are and how we're building relationships intentionally to say, if you have a need, will they show up and who will show up for you? And, he broke things down a bit more on how to charge and the fact that, hey, people should not guilt trip you. I just posted something on Facebook this morning. Every time we do House of Studios, the meeting is free, right? And then on Monday, someone is buzzing me to say, hey, Praise, I want you to answer this question. And I'm like, no, we taught this on Sunday. Why didn't you show up? Oh, I was busy. Okay, go and watch it. No, can't you give me the answer? And I stopped talking. Because it's lack of respect for my time and lack of respect for the fact that you have access to me. Because if you can't show up for a free meeting, you can't pay for premium, and then you can't even go and watch what was recorded, then you don't need me. Because my one-on-one is not cheap. I literally had to crash down my prices to be accessible to a lot of people, who I think deserve the knowledge I carry, but when I really want to charge, I charge, and I don't feel guilty about about those kind of things. So people don't even understand access. When I was being mentored, I never asked my mentor any question that he has written in a book, or he has answered in a book, or answered in a tape, or answered in a CD. And Dr. Miles used to say that to me, that, you know, you ask me deep and crazy questions that no one is asking. And I said, because most of the questions I would have loved to ask, I've read them in your book. Dr. Samadi Emi says the same thing, you know, but many of us are very entirely, if you don't know how to manage relationships, doors will close, right? Because the protocol, Palace protocol, I mean, maybe someday we'll teach Palace protocol here, is totally, totally different, right? And so a lot of us, when it comes to connecting with people and mastering relationship, is something we need to really master. Okay, so anybody with a question, if you have a question, please, you can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat box. Yeah, BC, Star BC, thank you. People don't, your siblings don't have to share the same faith with you. See, all this story about, you know, don't be unequally yoked, and you are thinking unequal yoke is Muslim, Christian, Hindus, and Buddhists, is going to cost you big time. It's going to cost you big time. Oh, and all how you know is wherever you are worshiping right now, just look around you where you are sitting every Sunday and ask yourself, how many people are in that space that you can do business with, that can do a turnover of $1 billion? How many? I can bet you will struggle to find one, right? Because the people who do those kind of transactions may not be showing up where you are showing up. So how does God send someone who doesn't belong to the same faith to you? His morality is not your morality, and you are holding him based on his morality to your standard, and because of that, I'm not unequally yoked together with unbeliever. You are the unbeliever if you don't know. I will not go to darkness. No, the person that you are gravitating towards is the light. People say Gentiles will come to thy light. I say Dubai is light, oh, that's where people are gravitating to. You know, where people gravitate to is where light is. So anyone with a question? Before, okay, Fisayo is back.
Yeah,
Before,
just to buttress what you are saying, you know, sometimes we don't know the difference between morality and righteousness, right? And if we don't draw that line between morality and righteousness, it's one of the things that the children of the world know that we don't know, right? That righteousness is based on jurisdiction. And that's something I can share later. You know, I started to share earlier, but I can share later. That alignment is righteousness. And it's what God says that you align with, you know. So just to buttress what you're saying. Yeah.
okay. Thank you very much. We have 3 factors of production, but FOD didn't talk about entrepreneurship. Is it intentional?
Yeah, so entrepreneurship, yeah, because I'll talk about that coming together. So I'll come in the future, maybe next week or the week after that. Entrepreneurship is the 4th factor, which is putting it all together. You know, so how do I put land, talent, effort, and my life? How do I put everything? You know, and the principle is convergence. It must be synonymous with what you do. You know, and we'll talk about that later. But I want us to take these ones in.
So someone is asking, what if I'm trying to, so I have this solution, I'm trying to reach top people, I've been pursuing them, but they are not responding to me. Is there anything I need to change, or is there any strategy I need to deploy?
Most likely you're coming from a position of weakness. Most likely. And the value for them is not clear. I've never pursued anybody in my life. I'm telling you honest the truth. And it's not because I've always been at a level where people come to me, no. It's very simple. If a door is shut against me, I don't bombard. I don't bombard the door like they bombard the gates of heaven. I don't bombard the door. I outgrow the lock. Right? That lock that successfully shut something against me, I go back. No matter how long it takes, I outgrow the lock. So sometimes I find that, and this has happened to me a lot, I'm in a place where something has happened and I've been shut out of somewhere, right? I go and I come back in a year and people are like, where have you been? They're the same ones that shut you out. The difference now is that you are now in a place where they feel that they can help you. I'll give you an example. So, I mean, I entered the healthcare industry, went straight to the top of the industry, policy making, policy decisions, because I was representing the government of Netherlands. Now, when I left that job, I had to now grow. Now, this is it too. And I knew I was in school. When I left that job, I had to now grow my personal brand to a place where the job put me. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
I had to grow my personal brand to a place where the job took me. It took me about 3 years, right, to get back to the place where it's like, because people are like, you've left the job, what are you doing now? Now it took me about 3 years. So recently, like I told you last week, we signed this international group of hospitals, right? That by the time we put their website, we put their logo, we put the Gates logo, we put all the people we deal with logo on our website. Everybody's like, are you serious? I didn't know you guys were doing this, because we went quiet. We went quiet because we knew we had to go to a place where we had to show knowledge or get knowledge. And it is the night that shows knowledge. The day utters wisdom, right? Wisdom is told in the day, night, knowledge grows in the night. So we had to go, shut the door, and grow our personal brand to a place where we could sit where we used to be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, question from Uncle Yuji. If I have spent so much and well invested in a relationship, in business for so long and things aren't going well, at what point would I jump out of this ship and restart my battery if things don't work in the midst of years of investment in those relationships?
Love it. Now, back to the principle of it being his story and not your story. Back. I do it with reckless abandon. We invest in relationships here, invest in relationships there, knowing that, listen to me, you will reap what you sow, maybe not where you sow. An attempt to forcibly reap where you sow will lead you into witchcraft. You will become a witch. I'm not joking. You will literally become a witch, chasing people and telling them after I've done everything for you. It's the same thing with a romantic relationship, right? You pay for a fiance, you buy a car, you do all those things, and someone else comes and marries the girl. You now start saying after you can't do that. You have to believe that the cycle of life is you reap what you sow, maybe not where you sow. Which means that don't be afraid to sow into relationships or to invest into relationships. Don't be afraid. Draw the line of disrespect where anybody that takes the crown of your head and puts it on the sole of their feet, you draw the line and you walk away at that point. But life has a way of resending you. It will be as if, I'm telling you, this has happened to me several times. It will be as if, did this person know that we were at this level? Even in relation to clients that made me do a project and they didn't pay the balance or they ended up cheating me, one client will come and say, I want that thing, and we will charge the full fee to that person. You have to believe it, or else you will go into witchcraft. You will reap what you sow, not necessarily where you sow.
Okay, someone is saying, what is the difference between righteousness and morality? I'm looking forward to learning more about it.
That one is next week.
Then someone
It's
is
a
saying,
whole...
we have Lena Jane. Lena Jane is from Zambia. It's her first day here.
Wow, welcome.
So we're having a lot more people from our African countries. My
Love
question
it.
is, how do I start this whole journey when I'm at zero? Where do I even start from?
First of all, let me say that you're not at zero. You just feel like you're at zero. Do you understand? Right? And I empathize with that feeling. I'm not trying to dismiss it, but you just feel that you are at zero. If you allow that feeling to pass and you take stock of where you are, you'll find that you might be at 0.1. You see, that 0.1 is the difference. Do you understand what I'm saying? That point one is the difference. But if you say you are at zero, then you are toying with depression, and a depressed heart cannot access light. Joy is the tool that we use to draw, from the wells of salvation. Joy is the tool. So if you say you're at zero, then you can't access light. So if you need to grieve, grieve. But at some point, you have to tell yourself the logical truth. I am not at zero. There's something in my house, right? There's a relationship that I have. There's a dress in my cupboard that I can wear out tonight, that I can meet people and network. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not at zero. There's a vocabulary that I can speak. There's a language that I can speak. And there's a skill set I have. There's something in your hand. That principle, trust me, you must believe it. There's something in my hand that I can use to reproduce, or connect with a tribe that can inherit that, from which I can inherit wealth. When you think about it like that, connections are more important. It might just be your smile, right? There was a day I was buying something in a store, and this old couple were behind me, and they were really, really giggling. And so that day I just said, let me pick one item. So I picked that item to rush out. And the woman calls me and she hugs me. And older woman, old man, and I'm like, okay, is this a funny couple or should I avoid this? And the man says, oh no, that I look like their first son, that whatever I'm buying, they're paying for. Jesus Christ. And I said to myself, I wish it was those malls where there's a car in the middle. There's a car, those malls, you go to the display, a brand new car in the middle. I said, I wish it was those malls. I said, I'm buying that car. Will you pay for it? Even just looking like their son, you don't know what will connect you to someone. The trick is when that connection is made, have a good attitude so that they want to. 1, 2, have an interesting personality. Some of you need to cultivate an interesting personality that will keep the attention of the people that want to bless you. You cannot just be going church, home, church, work. Where will you meet people? And I'm not talking about a husband, though. I'm talking about business people. If you go to Abuja, for instance, you have to go to Nikon once in a while. If you don't go there, that's where everybody is. I'm sorry. So sometimes schedule a meeting there, you to sit down and meet people there. You find other people that you meet. So when I'm in Abuja, say, where should we meet? Hilton. Let me go and sit down in Hilton and gist. How much are they selling their tea in Hilton? Yeah, I will drink. And then I've met so many people there. Oh, you are here. Oh, no, I just came in. Oh, yeah, can we see? Open yourself up to remember. And this is what the paradigm, if you shift the paradigm, this is what it will do to you. Remember, it is not about work. It's about people. Open yourself to opportunities to meet more people and different kinds of people. That's your assignment. In fact, PF, we have to start asking every week, how many new people did you meet? As a parameter for members of the tribe. How many new, some of you are in your own circle, especially those of you that live abroad. How many new people did you meet? You are in your own circle, and so that wealth is limited to what is available in your circle. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very, very, very important. So recently I started to audit my relationships. It's very good. Audit your relationships. Okay. I hope she says I hear and understand. God bless you. So she understands. Someone said join clubs, go to jazz clubs, boat club, go and sit down in boat club, join Ikoyi club, any club, just do extra things. It's not about work. Wealth is not about work. Remember, your work is not supposed to feed you. It's not just to feed you. Wealth is about people. So meet more people.
Okay, Fisayo, talking about meeting more people. So I want you to address because someone is listening to us. And I mean, I was having a conversation with someone on this matter in America this week. And she says to me, Praise, you know, you don't know how difficult this is for me because all my life I have been told going to those places is sinful. They're going to make me lose my faith. And I say that if you claim you are light and then you are going to where you call darkness, and then you're afraid that darkness is going to overpower you, maybe you are not light. And she said, you don't understand. Alive is literally wired around. And too many programs are being created and you are guilt-tripped for not coming for this program. So you realize, and even in our goal scoring class, I think our Lawrence is somewhere here, when we try to audit people the previous year, the only reason we have found consistently why people don't meet their goals for the year is because their social life, social dimension is zero or non-existent. They are very, very wealthy spiritually, but then socially bankrupt. And so they are rich by Christ Jesus in glory, spiritually. But then bank account and, disposable income is non-existent. Right. How can people begin to take responsibilities for their lives and understand that God can activate people wherever? Someone was looking for a spouse, and she's a matured single looking for a husband. And I said, oh, by the way, have you been to this club before? And she said, no, that you cannot find responsible people at the club. And I said, where is that written? I said, do you know that the biggest deals are cut at the club, right? And she said, no, that place you have people are going to be smoking. I said, since when did smoking and clubbing become, so I want you to address a bit of that because people are not going to the places they're supposed to go. They're not meeting people they're supposed to meet. And so they can't even see opportunities that God is sending their way. And like you rightly said, that many of these things are motion sensitive, right? It responds to movement. All right. So can you just quickly speak to that before we shut down? And then someone else is asking, how do we do this after a hectic 9 to 5 week market runs, looking after the home? When do we have time to go chill in this place? Hey, you will always do things that is most important to you, please. You are giving excuses. Oh yeah, Fisayo.
So I like that, the question I want to ask is, have you ever seen a torchlight? Just torchlight. The darkness entered inside. And you could not work as a torchlight again. PF, maybe you have seen.
Okay.
That when you try to shine the torchlight, darkness will enter inside. And a part of the torchlight will now be dark. I don't know where we get this thing I don't know where we get it. So we have been intimidated to believe that darkness can enter into you. And so we have not been taught how to shine as light. And that's just the problem, If you understand the way the seed of righteousness works, you will know that the way we are taught, we don't even understand it. The way it works is that at the scent of water, it will pour. He's always there. He's always there. And if we understand this, you will know that it is, there's things you can't even help. So even your children are going to school and are learning LGBTQ. They are telling them to be more patient. One other child is there and talking about his two daddies. Are you going to pull your children out of school because his classmate has two mommies? Let's be real. You live in this world. So how do you cope with living in this world? Or how do you thrive even though you live in this world? That's the question you should be asking, right? When life is on the proactive and not on the defensive, when the light bearers are on the proactive and not on the defensive, they don't have time to start thinking about, all this. You understand what I'm saying? So it's very important that you use your light, right, where you should use it, right? Now, Time management. The other one is an issue of time management. It's very simple. If you live abroad, you can get a babysitter for 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
If you live in Nigeria, you can get a nanny on a full-time basis. It depends on your priority, right? If you know and it has sunk in your head that wealth is not about the volume of the work you do, but the number of people you meet, then you will create time to meet people. Yeah. So yesterday I was in a meeting for an oil and gas downstream company. And the first agenda on the meeting, see, people that know what they're doing, was we need to get our MD into this club, that club, that club. That was the first agenda on the meeting. I was saying to them, these guys are smart, right? The first agenda was to get their MD into this club, that club, that club. Because it's not about the work you do, or else you'll be a geek sitting behind the computer, working for somebody who is meeting people and making money. You understand what I'm saying? So let's settle it in our mind that what is most important is the number of people you meet. Trust me, you will create a way to meet people once you believe that. Even if it is even if it's when you go and pick your children from school, you just be very social. That's when you know that I didn't know that the chief of army staff and my child are in the same school. You know, that's when you find out these things. And look, let me tell you the honest truth. Deals are also sealed in the parking lot of schools. Introductions are also made in the parking lot of schools. Him and my child are in the same school now. It's about social and it's where you meet people, right? So please, just bear it in mind that this is it. It's about people and not about work. And also bear it in mind that darkness cannot jump inside your light. Either your torchlight is off or the battery is low. It's not darkness that jumped inside. It's you that did not service the torchlight. Do you understand? I've never seen torchlight that there are dark blotches on it because darkness entered and because he went to go and shine in the club. Come on, guys, let's liberate ourselves from these things. You see these guys, some of them, these billionaire guys, some of them have, money gives you two major powers, right? And if you cannot handle these powers as a poor person, you can't handle it as a wealthy person. Actually, three major powers. The first one is the power of motion. You don't wait for anything when you have money, you move. You have motion. Pipeline between idea and reality is very short. The second one is the power of choice. Anything they offer you, you can ask, can they modify it a bit for you? Because you have choice. Oh, I don't like this one. I don't like the G-Wagon in blue. I want baby pink. Mercedes that said they don't do baby pink. If you have enough money, they will bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The third one is the power of privacy. The more money you have, the more likely what you're going to do doesn't come out in the open. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, this is, I'm giving you the real deal. Now, those who cannot handle those powers in private, cannot, as poor people, cannot handle it as wealthy people. And the idea is to get you mastery over those powers so that money can come into your hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Fisayo. We continue next week. And please, I'm just going to add to what Fisayo said. Many of us do not understand the stealth system when it comes to getting into power. It says, behold, I send you out as sheep among wolves. Be as gentle as the dove, be as smart as the serpent. How do you survive in a meeting of wolves as a sheep when the favorite meat of wolves is sheep? Right? You have to disguise and pretend. So many of us have been taught wrongly. So you find yourself in the palace protocol, in the palace, and you think the message that begins to ring immediately in your head is that you have been told you need to win their soul. So you say, praise the Lord. I want to preach Christ to you because I may not have any other opportunity to accept, for you to accept Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. They're going to kick you out. And once they kick you out, you may never, ever. Nehemiah was serving wine for over 20-something years before he had enough leverage to be given a diplomatic passport to go and, before he could make a request, can you sit in the meeting of the so-called bad people for 20 years serving beer or tasting beer or serving them wine and you make no request? That the day you decide to make a request, all of them are running helter-skelter. I think that is something we have not been taught. We've been wrongly taught to just go here, there, and you think you feel guilty. If I don't preach to them now, you don't have capacity yet to say what you want to say, right? There is, I mean, Yoruba people say there are days that there will be what to say, but there won't be time. But there will be time and there will be not what to say. You need to know the difference. Right? So don't always feel that you are obliged. You know, woe is me if I don't preach the gospel. Woe is me if I don't preach the gospel. It's not everywhere you can preach. I mean, when I was on campus, that was what we were told. I was going to preach the gospel. So people were writing exam. 2 a.m. I went to do morning cry. They were just returning. That was how some guy came from his room and slapped me. I said, get away. Don't you know that this exam period? I went to my room. I was crying. I knelt down. I said, God, I thank you. They persecuted me for your sake. Now with what I knew, I was very stupid and insensitive, right? To be disturbing people's sleep. You know, well, it was not persecution. It was a dirty slap and I deserved it, right? So it's important for us to understand these things. Rules of engagement is key. Austin Okorodudu, you have a question? Because we are about to go. Austin, do you have a question?
Thank you, PM. I was just laughing here, really. Thank you for the session. Quickly, I'm just going to ask about the balance because many times Mr. Fisayo talked about, you know, visiting different groups and, you know, being part of those. I'm just talking about the place of designing in such a way that you spread yourself too much that you are unable to commit to those groups as to, you know, getting maybe a few and getting committed to those. I was just looking at creating that balance. That's where my confusion is.
You're totally right. There's no point being part of a group that you're not committed to. It's not in the, it's in the donation what you can put in, right? So yes, membership, just like this tribe, is the same with every tribe, right? Commitment is required. So yes, obviously you should know where to go and where to not go. You cannot say you went to where armed robbers, you know, areas that you had, and then police carried you and started saying story. No, what we were saying was in relation to locking yourself up within a bubble and expecting God to work a miracle, a creative miracle, right, that brings something into your space when you have not done the needful, which is opening yourself to love humanity by accepting people and going and just being their friends. That's why he that has friends he that wants friends must show himself friendly, right? So yes, there is a balance. We don't expect you to be everywhere, you know, but at the same time, let your lifestyle be one of love, where you just naturally, where for instance, people that have lost someone in the morning and they know that you're friends, everybody expects you to be there, right? So someone said the governor was at all the events they did for Herbert, and he stayed there from beginning to the end. Do you think that he did it because he just he was representing Lagos State? He was representing himself and his family for everything that has been done for him. Look, I have a picture that I snapped. Aliko, the governor, Aibuji, wearing Ashwebi. You will never see it again. And when he German Ashwebi with skirts, the rapper, Aliko, the governor, Aibuji, and one other person, 4 of them. It tells the impact that the man made. That I might not see you every time, but when you need me, I'm there. That's why I said, let's forget religion today. Let's break it down to humanity. Just being a human to your fellow humans with a love quotient that is very high, right? With a love quotient that is very high. I think that will bring you out any day. I think that's the summation of what I'll say.
Thank you very much, Fisayo. Okay, Njideka, where are you? Before, I'm sure she's somewhere looking to chase me out of here. But we continue the discussion next week. Invite your friends, invite your family members. let them not miss this series, 2 p.m. every Sunday. Yeah. Njideka, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I am here. As usual, we have been fed the food of life. Thank you so much, FO. We are ready to meet this week. Thank you. You know, after your session, I feel like, firstly, I don't want you to stop. Then secondly, I feel like you can just be a pill. So I can just drink you and know all these things. But luckily, we have the jotters where we have taken notes. And no matter how slowly it shall be, but surely you are sowing great seeds in our lives. For me in particular, I'm speaking for myself now, and I'm learning a lot of things that are really changing the way I see life and my mindset. And I mean, this story that PF mentioned now, that it's like just a simple story or a joke, but it's just the way we go and be suffering for nothing and we say we're working for God, and then we are disrupting other people's space. But these are things that ignorance can do for us. So thank you for shining light for us. Thank you for shining light very high also for us to truly see how we have underused ourselves and how we can actually live a better life. You know, it's like reading the book of Proverbs. So thank you for your time, FO. We really appreciate you.